Hello everyone and welcome into another fascinating episode of Jason Junk in My Trunk. I am on number 11 and only because of all of you right there. Each and every one of you makes these videos happen, and I spent so many decades in the closet, so I don't want to be in the closet anymore. I would just prefer to be in my trunk. Anyways, welcome in, and me being in the closet, look how that worked out. Not so well. So check this out, a Schiaparelli brooch. Look at this one coming to a video very, very soon. That is an Elsa Schiaparelli. I show you things to look for in these videos. Please look for the work of Elsa Schiaparelli. With her work, she was friends with Salvador Dali. She produced rhinestone and costume jewelry along with like stockings and hats and ladies' accessories. Anyways, check out Elsa Schiaparelli's work. That is one to look for. I bought this brooch for $35. It is now worth between $250 and $285. Check that out. Be on the lookout for those. And for anyone who is into vintage art glass, I think there's some Victorian, there's Uranium, and then a bag full of really great stuff over there. So please don't move a muscle. These are Kenneth J. Lane as I fumble with them and try and get them situated. And I have to be perfectly honest, I really wasn't in the mood to do this video, but there was so much in the trunk and I needed to process this and I need to get this out for sale. So I have been a veteran in resale for over 30 years. And the youth of today, do I buy He-Man figurines? No. Do I buy vintage G.I. Joes? No. Do I buy plastic toys? No. But will I buy amazing Kenneth J. Lane earrings from the 1970s that are still worth an absolute fortune today? You betcha I will. I think I paid for the pair $85. I think on the retail level, these would be around $300 to $400. Those are magnificent for early Kenneth J. Lane. Circuit dating on those would be late 1970s. And I forgot to welcome all of you in to this junk in the trunk. This one, the pearl necklace was, I think this was $10. I believe that it is a 4-strand. Let me see here and get this situated. 4-strand, and those are cultured pearls. Very, very cool. I think retail on that would be around maybe between $50 and $65. But very cool for an adjustable cultured pearl necklace. And for $10, the markup, yep, I could well over triple my money on that. This bowl was $10, and I have done collectible and vintage glass for the last 30 years, and I don't want to lecture you on a company because it doesn't translate to important, meaning if you go to sell this, you should know who this is and the vintage on this, but lecturing you about Consolidated Glass or Phoenix Glass or Lalique it doesn't really transcend the value. This was $10, and I believe this is either Consolidated Glass or Phoenix. And again, my gut says Consolidated Glass. Am I an expert in glass? The answer is no. Do I need to be? No, because I knew for $10 I could sell this tiny little compote for right around $50 to $80. Is it worth more? Probably. Did I care? No, because I knew to pick this up for $10. And look at those koi fish underneath, and absolutely gorgeous Art Deco time period. And then look at that lotus blossom on the bottom. Clear glass with that kind of green wash over the surface. Very, very cool. In fact, very, very lovely. Consolidated in Phoenix glass. I had seen it sell for decades and decades and decades at auction. This I found 2 pieces of gold in. I'll do a separate video, but why I bought this for $3. This is crafting jewelry. Anytime you see crafting jewelry, be very careful, but I did find 2 pieces of gold in this. I will do that in a separate video. Look at that turquoise cuff in sterling silver, missing 1 turquoise stone. Yes, it is a square-shaped turquoise, which makes this cuff more unusual than most and worth more, but that would be a very easy fix. Let me move that earring out of the way. But that would be a very easy fix. Restored, I would say $85 retail, sterling silver, and for $3 plus the pieces of gold that I pulled out of there already. That was an absolute yes. I need to go through that bag, and I need to sort that. 2 pieces of jewelry that I had on today. Let me put the diamond cross down here in the daylight. Let me get it all the way down here. Oh, I'm standing in the daylight. Let's see here. Let's see that sparkle. Look in the bottom left corner. Check that out for 18 karat gold and diamonds. Let me bring that up to all of you. 18 karat gold and diamonds. Look at that. I bought that at the pawn shop many years ago for, I believe it was $1,500. Now I would say it's more like $3,500 to $4,500. So very cool. All right, we'll sleep that out of the way. If you see some bugs flying around, that's because I'm outside. A special shout out to a channel that I watch frequently. If it's late at night, you've already seen my videos and you need somewhere else to go, please go over to Lady Sylvia. And her user ID is Lady Sylvia 4018. Lady Sylvia has been doing this an awful long time. She is an avid collector, she is an artisan, and she is a dear friend of mine that I met on YouTube. And if you're into the more sophisticated pieces and you'd like a little chit chat with someone who appears to be your friend, she is your friend. Treat her with kindness and respect because she is just fantastic. And she did send me these so long ago. She made these. These are beaded creations that she made. And when you get into beaded items, it's a craft medium, and you have to be a true artisan to transcend a craft medium into wearable art. And my, is she a master of it. She transcends glass seed beads into wearable works of art. There it is, signed by Lady Sylvia. 2020 on that one, and I've worn this pin many times. I am not into pastels, and I'm not into light colored items, nor am I into seed beads, but I'm addicted to this brooch. She is a huge talent. And definitely an ally for me on YouTube. She is an amazing, amazing lady. And look at this one. So if you're unfamiliar with Lady Sylvia, please race over there and subscribe to her channel and just let her know that Jason Adams has sent you. And that I included her in this video, but she made this brooch. I have yet to wear this one, but I will this coming fall. Sylvia Chow 2023. Look at that beading and that beautiful hand-painted owl on that mother of pearl and some sort of lacquer. Look at those seed beads. She hand beads all of these. And do you know how difficult that is to weave this border and to get it so accurately tight to frame that? The craft is unbelievable on her pieces. And just an amazing friend. So please go over to Lady Sylvia as a recommendation. And a fire agate necklace. And this is a squash blossom with all fire agate, which makes it more unusual because, you know, it's normally red coral, mother of pearl, or just like everybody else's, turquoise. I didn't want it like everybody else's. Look at those purple blue fire agates in there. If you love fire agate or are not familiar with it, please go over to my fire agate video that I did on YouTube. Scroll down through my videos and you will see this most beautiful ring in 14 karat gold. And it's fire agate. And this is solid sterling silver. This is native made. This is Navajo. Absolutely exceptional, exceptional work. Such a beautiful fire agate squash blossom. Probably worth them in the vicinity of around $1,800, maybe $2,000. So I was wearing that at the flea. And then you know my affection for L.A. Smith glass. So check this out. 2 swung vases. Look. And what had happened was when I wandered up to the booth, they were just unpacking. They did not use any sort of help or assistance online with pricing, and each of these was $20. And now these go for, on the smaller 3-toed size, I just sold one on eBay for $165. So I sold the same exact one. This is L.E. Smith. And I believe by the airing of this video, I might have one done on L.E. Smith and Bakelite. So please go over to that video and use that as a reference. And again, because I've been doing it longer than the fads, I can give you the inside track 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And you have to understand I did storage unit auctions since 1997. I'm a veteran eBay seller of now 25 years. I worked at 2 area antique malls for 3.5 years. I was a veterinary assistant for 17 and a half years because my main passion in life is animals. I'm an artist, I'm a metalsmith, a silversmith, and a photographer. So if you like all that handcrafted and conceptual art, please go over to some of my studio videos as well. It does help me out if you go view the old videos that are in my library, because I've worked very, very hard at this. And content creation is quite the challenge. I will admit that it's never easy. This is also Ellie Smith. And the color, I'm sorry I forgot that. It is bittersweet. And doesn't it look like a pumpkin? Really, it goes from that yellow into orange into that tomato red. Absolutely a stunning vessel on that one. I would say on a paneled vase like that size, depending on size and color, that one would be closer to around 200 to 225. I think in this right here, if I'm correct, I don't like crinkling bags, so please excuse it. I should have had this unbagged and ready to go. This is Eckholt, and it is a magnum paperweight. That is Robert Eckholt, and I've talked about Eckholt glass on my channel before. This is signed, fully signed, Eckholt on the bottom, 1997. Most of his were done in the late 1990s and into maybe 2000. Look at the way he trapped that air down inside of there and has that veil of that almost aurora borealis or rainbow style. And then look at that ground that it's on, that dark mottled ground on the inside. Doesn't that look like a universe? Robert Eckholt glass is one of my favorites. I'll be bringing some of his onto one of the sales on YouTube. We sell on Bully Run Coffee on YouTube. Most of you are familiar with that. If you're not, please go over to past videos. This was free. This was given to me by a dealer out there at the flea market, and this is free, and I just loved this. Madame Butterfly, pure silk ribbon, but I loved that container, this lithographed tin. I just thought that was wonderful. Can you imagine that in a miniature shelf? Or just hide some things in there if you have precious jewelry that you want to stash away, or a little spare change or family coins. This is a 14 karat gold and cultured pearl tie-tack. That was 50 cents, but from there to there is solid 14 karat gold and a gorgeous cultured pearl. Listen to that chipmunk in the background. Can you hear him or her chirping? Do you hear that? He is really mad about something. He's telling his friends, stay clear of the guy in the trunk. Oh, and I feed them every day. Let me move this out of the way. An Art Deco lamp, anyone? Yeah, a Spelter Art Deco lamp. Again, you could attribute these to new art or frank art. I won't get carried away in this video because I'll do a full video on new art or frank art. And would you please, down in the comment section, tell me what was your favorite thing of this junk in the trunk, and also, do you want to see a video on Art Deco lamps and lighting? Because I have a very large collection. I've been at it 30 years, and just as long as I've done jewelry, I've done decorative arts, and that beautiful fiberglass shade from the 50s. So this is 20s, 30s, and then the shade is more 50s. So that is that fiberglass shade, and it clicks on there beautifully. It is the right proportion for this lamp. So see how that is the correct proportion, but it's not the correct age. That likely would have had either a mica, a paper, or a linen shade, or maybe even a silk shade, a pleated silk shade. But you can tell that that's very, very early. Cast spelter is the metal. A lot of people don't know that. And then that's lacquer painted for the deco stylized lady. Look at her standing up on her tiptoes with her hands crossed, and very stylized, very Art Deco, very machine age. Very distilled down. You know, when people say, tell us more about the art movements, boy, I could give you a lecture. You have to remember, I minored in art history in school, and I think that's what gives me the inside track on things like this that our Artisan created. Look at that. Sheared and almost polished bottom, but sheared so carefully done. And look at that plume of color, that burgundy red into that fluorescent opalescent blue on a very light lavender ground. This was $5. And another dealer had this in their hands, and I was like losing my mind, thinking, oh, I just lost out. I was like 2 minutes too late, you know? And I was like, they're not putting it down, you know? And I waited, and I waited, and I waited. And sure enough, he set it down, and I thought, why on God's green earth would you set that down for $5? Retail on something like this is between $65 and $85. If I can attribute this to an artist, it could be slightly more. I did not see a signature on it, but again, I've owned it for, 15 minutes? I don't know what's in this. This is an Italian bracelet, leather. Looks like Hermé, but I don't think that it is because it's only signed, let's see here. It's only signed genuine Italian leather. I gotta tell you a little secret. Slow down on these because one time I bought a similar bracelet to this, and this whole ornament at the top was 18 karat gold, and they had missed the mark. It was down under the leather, and it was $750. It was marked $750, and that means 18 karat or 75% actual gold. Cutting to the chase on that other bracelet, I sold it for $1,100, and that one was, very, very inexpensive as well. So always slow down on those. Let's see what I got. I don't even remember what I picked up, to be honest with you. But I really do appreciate you stopping in and spending time with me. I think I bought these both because they could be layered. And I've been into this layering phase. Yeah, this is why I did this one. Both are native made. Both are pearl. Why is this mother of pearl? I almost said pearl, but they're shell. Mother of pearl on that. And a native shell there. And beautifully constructed. Love that. And the duo was $12. So for the pair it was $12, and I said for the story there, for the fashion story and the history, I said absolutely yes. And those are Native American. This was interesting, and I don't know if I'm going to keep this, but I might keep this. This is a really unusual stick pin. It's Victorian. So doesn't this look... I guess I should ask all of you, if you didn't know, before I said anything, would you think that was more contemporary, like 1950? Look how clean the lines are, and that's just faceted, gold-filled stick pin with that little drop. So you have this beautiful stick pin and then that wonderful drop. Check out that bold characteristic on this. And this was just a gold tone stick pin for $5. As a Victorian original, 1860 on that. I would say, to retail consumer, 65. Maybe 75. Very unusual version for a Victorian stick pin. So always check out, go slow, take your time. I found that really late in the day one day. It's no major hit, but it's a good hit. It's a good find. These are two, in this box. We're going to get into this the next time. We're not going to do that in this, but stay tuned for a quilt top, some sterling silver jewelry, some Bakelite, some plastics, an NAO, which is like the offshoot of Yadro. I don't know the specifics on, the whole thing there, the whole story. Didn't care. It doesn't matter. And Victorian Bristol, a troll doll bank, and some other glass. So don't move a muscle. Sterling silver, red coral, and turquoise, a larger size. Very cool for wearable. That's a gent's ring through and through. And there's my Big Daddy. Look, diamonds and gold. And I bought that out of the pawn shop. And someone said, how do you continue to do this? And I said, a lot of times these things find me. I don't just go out and hunt them down. A lot of times it's based on the fact that when you turn your light on, and you keep your light going, people will call you. And sometimes you'll just wander in somewhere, and it'll be the day for it. These two rings, I paid $65 and $65. I think they're easily a very kind price of around $125. I don't know what is in here. Should I look at this off camera and make sure that this is safe? Everything I buy is safe, but there's some things. Oh, I remember. Look at this. For that piece dove, I don't know the maker here. I was unfamiliar with this, but I didn't care because the quality of the potting, and look at that kind of matte finished gunmetal and blue speckled. I just thought this was a very cool piece, and I'm not sure who this is. But if anyone out there is familiar with this, I don't Google Lens or AI. I didn't care. People, you'd see the youth of today fumbling for their phone. Oh God, what do I do? And they would take a picture of that and put it on Google Lens and then know what to pay for that. This was only $2. And in my heart of hearts, I was like, I think a nice retail would be between $25 and $35 because of the quality of that, irregardless of the maker, not knowing who that was. I loved that ground down finish, and that's just a glaze skip at the corner, so that's as made. It's not damaged. I thought that was just really lovely. And we've been getting into here locally. I'll say it because it's true. I have been selling out of small things. It's been brisk, It's like I can't keep small things in stock. This is the NAO, and of course I'm not going to lecture you about Yadro, NAO. I'm not going to lecture you. This was $1, and this is NAO. And as soon as I saw it, I mean, these sell for like 25, 35. If it was a Yadro, it would sell for like, retail more 55, 65. Very well potted. And again, I don't know the whole story there between NAO and Yadro because I don't care. I just say, I've always had like this practical guide of what to buy and what to sell and not worry about some sort of crazy lecture series. I had to have this. Even though it had severe damage, I had to have this. This has a story. This has a vibe all of its own. And someone initially wanted $20 for it. And with the damage, the lady at the flea market said, it's either $1 million or it's $1. And I said, what would you feel comfortable with? And she said, you can have it for $1. So I did not mind the damage. I just thought this was a beautiful talisman of protection and faith and religion. And I really love that. Age on that, oh, that's tough. Late 30s, could be a little bit earlier, but not by much. 2 beaded necklaces, and I just thought they were cool. Someone had $65 on this originally. I knew that it wasn't worth that, but it was only $2. These are glass beads, ceramic beads, and then these are resin that are really well done for resin. And look at that wrap of embroidery fabric around those beads. This is extremely heavy. Very, very heavy piece. And I thought for fashion, that was really cool. A lot of people like affordable and they say, can you still bring that on? And I say, absolutely yes. So check this out. We're 21 minutes in. It feels like I just started. Does time go by quick when you're watching my videos? I sure hope it does. I sure hope I keep you company and it just moves along and you lose track of time. Check that out. Look at that. I want my channel to be some sort of an escape for people as well. Not only educational, but funny. I want it to be an escape for people. I just thought this was great for Artisan. Encased lucite, late 1960s. No, late 1970s into the 80s. Sorry, I was looking at the bag over there that's in the background. I got to stay focused on what's in my hands. Late 1970s into the 80s, and much more 80s. Transitional. Let me regroup there. Late 80s into the 90s on this one. See, I can correct myself when I'm looking at it and I go, has nothing to do with the 70s, Jason. Nothing. I do have a bracelet similar to this. Construction is different and it is 70s. But no, that's definitely late 80s into the 90s. Love that construction. So it was just, fashionable and fun. I did buy this whole bag, and we'll do another video on this because I'm going to run out of time. These are Bakelite bangles. Check those out for Bakelite. And I loved that moody, mottled blue moon. That is actually blue moon Bakelite. It's blue and green with yellow. That is a beautiful yellow. And look at that carved orange for Bakelite, and what a great trio. So if I were to sell those, I'd probably sell all 3 of them together. I've been known to do the stacks. And let's see here. Oh, we'll leave all this out. This is costume, and we'll go over this in another video because look at that. I didn't want to really get into costume as much today. I think that's incredible too. That was just a mixed grab bag of jewelry stuff. Let me pause the video. I'll be right back. As you can see, I was busy unpacking very similar pieces. I can't even do this without laughing. Extremely similar pieces, because I'm known to only be a jewelry dealer. I can't even do it. So, I wanted extremely similar collections, so I bought a collection of Victorian Bristol glass and a troll bank from the 1970s. When people say, show us everything and why, and I'm like, all right, just give me some time and I'll do it. I have collected trolls for a long time, but they have to be a certain vintage or we just won't do it. This is one of the troll banks from the late 1960s and into the 70s. Nylon hair instead of the mohair or the wool. We'll get into what to look for with trolls, but that one, I would say retail on that one still like $35. at a moderate price. It's in good shape. It just needs to be cleaned up. That was $5. So of course that was an absolute yes. And I guess to show you how I go from one extreme to another, these are Victorian Bristol glass. These are enamel. Let me scoot this one out of the way before I break anything. I was stunned by this collection. They really need to be cleaned up. They're extremely dirty. They were just moved out of the house and this guy brought them out to the flea. Let me move this one out of the way. Let me show you the pontil mark there. So that's where they break it off of the cane, because this is all hand-blown Bristol. These are, all 4 of these, or I should say 5 of these, are Victorian hand-painted enamel. So that is fired on enamel onto the surface, and you can feel that. That's not just haphazardly painted on, but that is in fact fired on, and what we consider Bristol enamel. If you want to talk about origin and time period and specifics, I'll do a whole video on Victorian glass. Again, I've been buying Victorian glass for the same, 30 years that I've been doing jewelry and tiny and shiny. This was $5. Can you imagine a piece of gorgeous satin glass that's Victorian being $5? Absolutely awesome. These were normally pairs, and that one is just a single. And again, these would have been pairs, but these are just singles. But look at the enameling on that surface. These are very thin glass. They are very, very thin. They are prone to breaking, and just looking at them wrong, you're gonna have a problem. Really extremely dirty. This one was also $5. Look at the enamel flowers, the butterfly, the bird, very Victorian. The sailboat in front of the mountains on a landscape. And look at the attention to detail on the feet. These really need to be cleaned up. Yet again, like I said, extremely dirty, but you saw the pontil there as well. But that is considered Bristol, or you can just call it Victorian enameled glass. There's nothing wrong with that. If you want to talk about Mountjoy and you want to start throwing terms around and makers around, I can do the deep dive. What I don't want to do is waste time. I just want to tell you that years and years and years ago, a vase like this in a pair of them would have been $150. This by itself was $5. So that's why I purchased it. Desirability is down. Even though these are gorgeous and very large and in perfect condition, look how thin the glass is. How could that have lasted all that time? All hand painted, would have labor of love to put that on there. And there again, another pontil. See where that is broken off? So that is totally fine. People really years ago thought that was damage. And I said, no, that's the pontil. That's where these artists hand blew these items and then made this ruffled top. Annealed glass as well. Very technically difficult. Long story short, as a single, I would say today as a decorative piece, I would say, let me move that one down. As a decorative piece, I would say, with no chips and no damage on the ruffle, I would still say $35. And that's an Ohio price, Different places bring in different prices. No reason to fight over it. But here in Ohio, that's the price for it. This is also Bristol. This is amazing Victorian enamel glass. Very small. I thought it was a bottle, scent bottle. It's not. There's no rough finish down in here. So if this had a stopper at some point, it would have kind of a tooth that's down in there where the stopper would fit down in. This is just a vase or a vessel. So there you go for the bottom, sheared and ground foot where that was blown from the cane on this end. And then check that out for detailed enamel. Would you decorate with these? I guess I should ask that question. Leave down in the comment section if you would actually decorate in antique Victorian glass. Or is it too dated? Is it too delicate? Is it too old looking? Give me some feedback on that, because there has been a little bit of surge in this department, shall I say, or should I say selling category. There we go. Check this out. Look at those enamel leaves and flowers. A lot of wear to this one, but check out that ruffled top again. In really perfect condition, no breaks, no chips, no cracks. Really a fantastic piece, and decorated 360 degrees all the way down to that foot with the polka dots. And look at that, it was $5. $5 for something so early and so beautiful. Again, check out the pontil on the bottom. All right, this one, but see, here's the thing. So we go from really amazing art and hand done to something much more simple, but much more desirable these days. Uranium glass. This glows extremely bright. And I mean extremely, extremely bright. This is a vintage piece. I am unsure of the maker on this. I don't know these things, but I just knew to pick it up. I said I'm not putting that back down. It is sizable. I would consider it probably late 20s, late 30s. I would circa date it 1930. And those kind of impressed thumbprints across the surface. Someone out there is going to say exactly who this is, and I probably wouldn't disagree. I paid $18 for this. I would say... it's got a couple little chips on the foot. I would say still a strong 65, 75 in my market here. Something that I considered absolutely beautiful that I couldn't leave behind, and I tried so hard to talk myself out of this. Let me move this vase out of the way. I am going to take my time sometimes, and I know that you all appreciate me taking such great care of these pieces, and now you get to see my dirty trunk. So look at this. Look at that for depression. I am not sure who this form is. Is it Cambridge? Is it Fostoria? Is it Tiffin? It's one of the three. In my mind, it's one of the three. What is the pattern? You know, is it Doric? Is it Ionic? Is it this? Is it that? I know what it's not. I know that it's not, you know, the cherry blossom. I know that it's not chantilly. I know that it's not that. At least I don't think it is. Look at those garlands that are etched around this just dramatic compote bowl. Look at the flare of that it starts so low, and then look at the fold of that in perfect condition and in the very light pink color. Depression glass, I had dealt in it long time ago when it was hot. You know, Heisey Orchid days, you know, when Heisey Orchid was like the thing, you know, and you were getting $100 for a stem of Heisey Orchid pattern, you know. But check this out. I don't know, leave in the comment section who this is and what is the pattern. Help me out. I help you out, help me out. This was $10. I wouldn't sell it for less than $35. Other people would say, no, that's like $65, $75, or they would say, no, it's $5. I would say, leave your opinion to yourself on pricing. I know it works for me because I've been doing this for 30 years. I don't bank on potential money. You know, I don't bank on like what could it sell for. I bank on what it actually sells for, and then I sell it. And that's why you're all here with me. Gianni, Bernini, these are all sterling silver earrings on their card. Retail on some of these was well over $100. Like this one was like $100 in the store for the set of 3. I don't remember what I paid for this whole bag, but it wasn't much. Sterling silver and gold vermeil, and silver has gone through the roof for pricing, and I thought those are easy to sell. Also, the wizards. And let me show you what happened. So Daryl and Karen. There we go. I always say Cheryl. I say Cheryl and Daryl. It's like Chip and Dale, you know, but they don't care because they're my friends. These are the wizards, you know, that I've had such luck selling over the last now. How many sales? I don't even know how to tell you how many sales we've had these in. And look at them. They need to be cleaned up. But these are all vintage, and they're gemstone wizards. There are 50 of them in this bag. So now I bought out the collection, and there are no more. Let me see if I can pull one out of here so I can show you. Look at the way that's constructed. Each little wizard is holding a tumble and a wand. And these were hand constructed in the 1990s. These are American made. Look at that for a gemstone tumble. And there's 50 of them. So I have more wizards to sell if anyone wants them. And then gemstone beads in this. And then the quilt top, and we're going to call it 32 minutes. I was only supposed to be on for 30. A ton of gemstone beads. Amazonite, fluorite. Tons and tons. Amethyst, rose quartz, really a fantastic array of gorgeous gemstone beads. That whole collection, I think, was, maybe this was $20? Maybe it was $20? Look at those absolutely gorgeous gemstone beads. That was a have to have. Resale on those is very, very easy, especially with winter coming up. These are carnelian. Does anyone love these? Because I did. These are drilled through. See how those are beads? Those are carnelian. Listen to that. Sounds like glass. Love that. Little ASMR goes a long way. And then the quilt top. Check that out for a 1930s, 1940s quilt top. These are all feed sack fabrics. So this is feed sack, meaning feed sack fabrics. They're cotton. And then to prove that, I think there is actually, let me go to that one corner. And I appreciate you giving me a minute to show you this. This is actually made out of flour sacks. The white is actually made out of flour sack material. Now, of course, I can't find it. But there's one corner that has printed, I can't find it. Here it is, look. There's one corner that has printed, let's see here, what does it say? Nope, I can't see it, but it's got like feed sack print on it. Look, it's got feed sack advertising on it. When people say, well, that's really not feed sack or flour sack, I said, yes, it is. Look at the colors. So Art Deco, so bold. I would even date some of these fabrics to be 20s. Some of these look earlier, 20s, 30s, maybe into the 40s. And this is the double wedding ring with its border. And look, it's all completely hand sewn. So it's hand pieced, and see that's hand stitched. You can see the irregularity. And stitches per inch, it's not the best, it's not the finest. It is definitely not the finest, but check that out. And look at that, absolutely yes. Incredible, incredible color and patterning. It's a very large quilt top. I wish I could put the whole thing in the video. Like, I wish you could see this whole quilt top. And I am gonna do a video on my quilts. If y'all want to see them, you just let me know. I'll do a video on my quilts. That's it. That's all I have to offer besides my big daddy ring that I was wearing today. I said, yeah, absolutely. And of course, my staples. I never have those not on. I just want to say thank you so much for joining in. And please understand that I've been an eBay reseller, a general reseller. I used to sell at antique malls, antique shows. I still sell at auction. I'm still an auction advisor for a few different companies. I did yard sales and estate sales and storage unit auctions. I'll tell you, I've been a dealer now for over half my life, and I love resale. I absolutely love it. Thank you so much for allowing me to share that with you. Have a wonderful day, and you know how it is. I love you because I do.